You guys should go make an account. Please go to rumble.com/c/academics. That's where my channel resides. Lots to get to today. I'll save you the suspense. Drake ain't dropping tonight. He's not. There's so much to be discussed because there's multiple pieces of chess happening. You know, I've always told you before I even knew Drake, hey, I'm just a big Drake fan, right? I've told y'all that. Fortunately, these days I could ask him a question or two, he'll answer, I guess. But that's been me from day one. Go back, go watch. I've been covering hip-hop for damn near 15 years. Drake's been my favorite since day one. I didn't change teams. I'm not a bandwagoner. That's what it is. I guess it's not really important because both men involved in this kerfuffle don't really speak that much. Drake don't really speak publicly that much, and Kendrick definitely doesn't. So people want to make me the face of whatever Drake feels or thinks, which I would say that's incorrect as well, okay? But the person who said that Drake was dropping today, I think they've been campaigning to be the face of what Kendrick thinks. It's a DJ from out of L.A. You know, shout out to DJ Head Up. Got no problem with you. Don't know you. Pretty sure you've had probably whatever you probably said about me in the past, but I don't care. The point is this. Drake ain't dropping today. We're probably going to go into day 3, which will be tomorrow. Day 3 of Drake not responding to Kendrick. And I'm keeping a timeline just like how I kept the timeline with Kendrick. Okay? I believe that Drake, if he doesn't respond in 17 days, we're going to put him on a standing 8 count. That's a fact. That's what I would do with Kendrick. Okay? So, I'm trying to be fair as possible, but I won't lie to y'all and just be like, oh, I don't hope one side wins or the other. Anyway. I've been sitting back and taking in everybody's opinions about what is going on. Who's the victor so far? Who's up? Unanimously, I haven't heard anyone say, whether on either side, that Drake delivered a knockout punch, nor did they unanimously say that Kendrick did that either. So this is an ongoing battle. I'll tell you where I stand on the battle, and you can tell me where you stand. I think it's a very close competition. Depending on what you like, depending on who you're pulling for, depending on what style you like, you might have Drake or Kendrick winning this first round. I've scored it 10-9 Drake. Push-Ups versus Euphoria. Euphoria is a stellar track. Don't let anything I'm saying make you feel like it's not. It's an amazing track. Criticisms about the track? Well, it's repeating a bunch of shit that a bunch of other people have said. And we don't think this beef is going to be decided by just repeating talking points. You're either going to have to showcase a high level of rapping, or you're going to showcase that the person that you're going against, you know, is a complete fraud, or you could expose something about them that no one knows. That's the point. So yeah, I have it very close, 10-9 Drake. But by the way, if you have it 10-9 Kendrick, I'm not mad at that either. Kendrick took an approach of, I'm going to allude to every angle that I could get at you at. I particularly feel that why Kendrick did that is because he's doing what people thought Drake was doing with the possible AI release that people found out was Push-Ups later. They're like, oh no, well Drake was just trying to feel out the, you know, like see if people liked it. That's why he leaked it first, which I've heard he didn't leak it. And actually, he only sent the real version around because he felt the leak sound horrible. Okay? So apparently he wasn't with the leak, but who cares about the truth when the lie's more entertaining, right? I think Kendrick is feeling out the crowd. We're gonna get into some minute details in the Kendrick Lamar's response on Euphoria. Kendrick mentioned about 30 angles he could get at Drake about. You're not black enough. Cultural appropriation. We think you like little kids. We think you got your abs done. There's a shit ton of angles that Kendrick alluded to. One of the reasons why I didn't give him the win for the first round is that offensively, what did you do? So you're feeling like I'm gonna compare this to boxing a lot. He's feeling out his opponent, no Diddy, and he's like, well, will the uppercut work? Will the left hook work? With the straight right work? Will the jab work? Like, he's trying to figure it out, but he doesn't know the remedy yet. Drake was trying to do the same, except I think Drake tried to go on the offensive, or at least made it a bop. Okay? All right. Anyway, a few things to analyze here is because, some of y'all might be like, what are you talking about? Kendrick went down a whole rabbit hole. And by the way, I'm here to also call cap on what Kendrick said. So Kendrick in Euphoria, he mentioned something, but he said, what he said? Hold on. Anyway, he says we ain't got to get personal. This is a friendly fade. We should keep it that way. I know some shit about niggas that make Gunna wanna look like a saint. They say about critics, blah blah blah. He basically also said, "Yo, I'm not gonna be calling around." I don't know where he says that, but he says, "I'm not gonna be calling around trying to get information or dirt on you, right?" And I'm here to tell you that he already did it. Let's analyze a few bars, okay? Most notably because I seen this thing popping off today on social media, and I even posted it because it's irrelevant. And it says this. Listen to this, chat.
It's been an over decade-long feud, and now a new Kendrick Lamar diss record targeting Toronto's own Drake has one local Chinese restaurant caught in the middle, but in a good way. New Ho King on Spadina was mentioned in the song Euphoria, and now the owner says they have since been showered with 5-star reviews.
Talk about me and my family, Crody. Someone go bleed in your family, Crody. I be a New Ho King.
Now, I'm going to paint a picture to y'all that Kendrick has done his research. Okay? Kendrick starts off like a stanza by saying, "Don't speak on the family, Crody. It could get deep in the family, Crody. Talk about me and my family, Crody? Someone's going to bleed in your family, Crody." Then he says, "I be at New Ho King eating fried rice with dip sauce and a blammy, Crody." Now, those might just seem like a nice little rhyme scheme, but let me explain. I'm going to keep playing this again.
Long feud, and now a new Kendrick Lamar diss record targeting Toronto's own Drake has one local Chinese restaurant caught in the middle, but in a good way. New Ho King on Spadina was mentioned in the song Euphoria, and now the owner says they have since been showered with 5-star reviews.
Talk about me and my family, Crody. Someone go bleed in your family, Crody. I be a New Ho King.
New Ho King. There you go. That's right. I'm trying to learn how to sing the song now.
Johnny Liu is the owner of New Ho King in Chinatown. He says since last night, his phone has been blowing up with messages.
This morning, a lot of people text me and say, "Oh, look at that. That's your restaurant?" I said, "Yes." And they said, "Oh, Look at that. Look at the song.
Don't speak on the family, Crody. It can get deep in the family, Crody.
In the song, Kendrick Lamar jokingly pokes fun at the Toronto accent and slang. He then specifically mentioned the restaurant and their fried rice.
I be at New Hall King eating fried rice with a dip sauce and a blammy, Crody.
He said, good food and maybe the fried rice, get more rice. The chef gonna be busy.
Since the song was released Tuesday, Google reviews for the establishment have been soaring with positive feedback, with most mentioning the song and their now famous dish.
Whoa, 7 minutes ago.
So people are mentioning the song that Kendrick...
Yep, I see that Kendrick's a good guy. Oh my God.
Lou says he expects more customers will be stopping by since he's been receiving this international attention. Even today, customers we spoke to said they made their way to Chinatown to try the fried rice, thanks to the American rapper.
I came all the way from Markham just to see this fried rice, man. Kendrick Lamar, you gotta pay respect to K-Dot, man. Ever since he dropped the diss track, I was like, I gotta visit this place.
Okay. Sounds good. Now, let me just be very frank and very clear. New Ho King has never in his entire existence for years and years been known for their amazing cuisine. Let me be very, very clear. So this, like, it's not like Kendrick did a Yelp review. He's not Keith, what was that nigga name? The Keith Lee. He didn't be like, oh, go check this out in Toronto. This is my favorite spot to eat. This is Kendrick who did some research. Okay, now let me give you the significance of this whole New Ho King spot that Kendrick alluded to on the song. By the way, I want to keep reminding y'all, when did he mention that song or that restaurant? He says, don't speak on a family. He's responding to Drake speaking on his family. You know, when people speak on your family, you could get dark. So don't speak on a family, Crody. It could get deep in a family, Crody. Talk about me and my family, Crody. Someone gonna bleed in your family, Crody. I be at the New Ho King eating fried rice. Now, let me get back to this. So, this is a spot. I'm telling you, in the history of Toronto, I'll tell you the significance of this spot. It's a after-hours spot. You know one of them spots that might be in your city where after you hit one club or two clubs, it's the only place that's open that when you mad drunk and you need to get something to eat, it'll stay open mad late. That's the spot, okay? Now, it's not the spot for the entire Toronto, but if you're in Little China, which, by the way, this is in Chinatown, in Toronto. There's a Chinatown in pretty much every major city, right? This is in Chinatown. This is why I'm telling y'all that Kendrick did his research. You want to know the significance of him saying New Ho King? I told you it's not the food. Let's go over some very drastic things. Okay. So, and by the way, salute to this page because we played this last time, but this page is valuable information. Mind Soul 6. You guys are great. Now, this is recapping when Drake got robbed in 2009 in Toronto.
One of the wealthiest. With that amount of money and fame, you attract attention from all sorts of people, and some of them have malicious intent. So as a celebrity, it's natural that you end up hiring a security team to protect you. When it comes to Drake, well, he's basically untouchable. He walks around with a squadron of top-tier meatheads who are known to be rough with people and overstep boundaries. One of his bodyguards was even the subject of a YouTube video, where someone was pointing out how terrifyingly huge this guy was. Now when Drake travels by car, it's with a convoy of black SUVs, filled with bodyguards dedicated enough to step into traffic and block cars so his entourage can merge. Basically these days, you won't catch Drake without a small army of defendants, especially in his home city. For added protection in Toronto, he's even connected with local gangs like Reps Up and G-Way Boys, giving him not only a sense of safety within the city, but also some type of street credibility. This made Drake more comfortable in Toronto, comfortable enough to build a luxurious mega mansion in Bridles Path. But this is the current Drake. He wasn't always the sheltered, established rapper that we see today. In the early years of Drake's career, he's what you would call green behind the ears, and he didn't think that private security was needed while in his home city. This was surprising, considering he made a comment to New York Times around then, telling a reporter that he felt unsafe in Toronto at all times. His inexperience as a celebrity would eventually lead him to being robbed. And I don't mean the multi-million-dollar jewelry heist of his tour bus in 2016. That happened in Phoenix. I'm talking about the armed robbery at gunpoint that went down over a decade ago in the city which Drake calls home. This event occurred in the evening of May 31st, 2009. Then 23-year-old Drake was having dinner at a restaurant in Toronto's Little Italy.
Okay. Now, this is very important because what people are now drawing from this Kendrick Lamar song is not true. New Ho King, that restaurant, is not where Drake got robbed at, allegedly. That is not the location, but it is close. This is why I'm telling you, Kendrick did his research. Kendrick hasn't spent enough time in Toronto or knowing some of these things that he could mention this without him having some research done. So, let it play a little bit, and then I'm going to show you what's going on.
Located at the corner of College and Beatrice Street. He was on a date with a woman who was...
Okay, before we get into that, I want to show you something. We're going to Google it. We're going to do it live. College and Beatrice Street, Toronto. You guys could Google this yourself. That's why I like to do it live. I don't have no special information. I just know how to put two and two together. Type that in, hit enter. You're going to get something like this. That's an intersection. By the way, when Drake was robbed, let me see if I can find that affidavit. I'm going to find the affidavit real quick. We need the affidavit. The affidavit, that's where they mention the intersection of Beatrice and College Street. Okay, here we go. Okay. Okay. Now, well, this is for the charges, but if you read any website, like, look, Drake robbed 2009. Let's find one of the original articles that always... Okay, this is one of the original articles right here. It was posted in 2010, but it's all good. On May 31st, Drake, blah, 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 blah. Here we go. Drake left the restaurant with a woman, blah, 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 and walked down Beatrice Street. Okay? Now, this was important. It says Drake was enjoying an evening at a restaurant in Little Italy at the corner of College and Beatrice Street. This is why we typed in, and y'all can do it yourself. I don't got no special information. College and Beatrice Street. This is how it looks current day in Toronto. So they're saying Drake was robbed along this street. Let me give y'all a little 360 tour. Something here. So maybe I'm not even sure if the Italian restaurant still exists. La Cantina. Oh, who knows? Let's go up here a little bit. Okay. Remember, this is definitely like 15 years later. This is 100% 15 years later, right? So they're saying that Drake was over here when he got robbed. Now, the important thing about this, right? The important thing about this is going to be this. Give me 1 second. And I want you to watch everything I'm doing because I'm doing it live. College, Beatrice Street. It's an intersection in Toronto. Now, let's look at the directions. So he says College and Beatrice. That's where Drake got robbed. Let's look at New Ho King. Let's see how far that is. Now you see it. 7 minutes. Essentially, Drake got robbed here. Let me make this a little bit smaller. Drake got robbed here, and Kendrick rapped about a place here. Now, the reason why I'm saying Kendrick did his research, you could be dense and be like, oh no, this is random. Toronto is small, but not that small, okay? Literally, like, this here and here are pretty close. Now, why I believe he mentioned New Ho King is to remind Drake, nigga, I know about what the fuck you was up to before you got popular in the US. So it's a reminder that he got robbed in 2009 here. But the New Ho King spot is more profound because of this.
Was having dinner at a
So let me just play this. I'm gonna play this for another 2 minutes and I'm gonna go to another video.
restaurant in Toronto's Little Italy, located at the corner of College and Beatrice Street. He was on a date with a woman who was named Chantel Brown. After enjoying their meal and a night out, the two left the restaurant and walked to an SUV that was parked across the street. Drake got into his car, and moments later, two armed men suddenly approached the vehicle with guns drawn and started banging them on the window. Drake opened the door, and they then aimed their weapons at his face, demanding that he gave up his jewelry and anything else he had. Without much choices, Drake handed over his diamond gold chain, which rapper Lil Wayne had recently gifted to him, along with an expensive Audemars watch and $2,000 in US cash. The woman Chantel was sitting in the passenger seat at this point, but before the suspects could make their way to her, a man that was exiting the same restaurant, named Nicholas Carino, noticed the robbery and yelled at the gunman to get the F back. Apparently spooked, the two suspects quickly jumped into a nearby getaway car with the stolen goods. The car then sped southbound down Beatrice Street, but it wouldn't get too far. A short time later, the same car was stopped by police for driving the wrong way down a one-way street. Once stopped, two people jumped out of the vehicle and began running in an attempt to escape. One person still remained in the car, the driver, and he managed to speed off. After a brief foot chase with police, one of the running suspects was apprehended. The driver of the getaway car was eventually tracked down and also arrested, but the second suspect who escaped on foot was never caught and ultimately got away. The two who were caught, though, were identified as Paul Letatui and Socrates Cotterwell, ages unknown. They were both charged with armed robbery, conspiracy to commit armed robbery, 3 counts of pointing a firearm, and possession of stolen property. As far as the items that were robbed from Drake, the police managed to recover the chain, the watch, and about $1,330, but they never found the guns that were allegedly used in the crime, which ended up being detrimental to the case. Now this is when some controversy begins. It's claimed that Drake himself was the one who pressed charges on the men.
Okay, so it goes into this whole thing, to be fair, that Drake gave a statement but later rescinded it, and they believe that Drake only rescinded it because he wanted, like, he knew he was going to be famous. So if you're telling, that would hurt your career. Anyway, it's not the interesting part of the story, okay? Because remember, we're trying to connect it to why did Kendrick mention New Ho King? Remember, I just gave you the map. Drake got robbed here, or walking like down the street, or maybe somewhere in the vicinity. Let's put a circle around here. Why is Kendrick rapping about a place that's here? Interested. I think he rapped about here to let Drake know, I know about you getting robbed, but that's light. This is why I believe he rapped about New Ho King. I'm gonna now introduce some things to you guys that you might not know. Do y'all remember what year Drake started referring to Toronto? You know, there was a time Drake never really, I won't say claimed that he was Canadian or whatever, but the pride wasn't there for a while. And then after a while, he started saying, I'm the six. I'm from the six, running through my six with my woes. I'm the six god. Do y'all remember that time? Hey, listen, we're having a conversation. I gotta read the comments. Let me pull this bitch up. Should I pull up Rumble? Rumble probably got the real shit, right? Or should I pull up YouTube or maybe Twitch? Y'all tell me where it has the best comments. Okay. All right. So, let me spare y'all the suspense. What ended up happening, and this is why New Ho King becomes a point of interest. No disrespect to the people going there. Their fried rice is not better than nobody else's fried rice. Okay? They don't got no pork rolls or whatever the fuck y'all be eating at these spots. That is really good. Kendrick did his research and his homework on Drake. Not only did Drake get robbed, probably about, look, we did the research. Look, 7 minutes away. When Drake started adopting this whole thing that Toronto was the 6, and he started putting that on wax, there was a guy who, not too sure if he was maybe not with Drake calling Toronto the 6, but he wanted to let it be known who he felt, according to him, was the realest in the 6. Enter a rapper who's local to Toronto named Sizzlack. And he dropped a song called Realist in the 6th. Now, I don't know if I can play the whole thing, but we're going to look at a few pieces of this video.
And started rapping.
You're going to notice really quickly what's going on. Heavily featured in the video.
These niggas seen what you know.
Heavily featured in this video. Heavily featured in this video.
We the realest in
Heavily featured in the video. And what is he saying?
We the realest in the 6.
Enters the facility. Right?
The realest in the 6. In the 6. In the
He's seen pictured in the corner, smoking.
that shit. Do hit.
Now, to be fair, Sizzlack was someone who was beefing with multiple people. Now, some people believe this song was a diss song to Drake, but it wasn't only Drake. If you don't notice, this is a guy who's working a job because they're selling hats or whatever the fuck. He's having this guy throw down a gang symbol. You usually know the reference when somebody throws down a symbol to disrespect. He probably doesn't know what he's doing. The person who had him do it and recorded him is making a point. Anyway, I want to keep this short for y'all. To keep it short, what ended up happening is that Sizzlack, okay, died not too long after making this video. He passed away. He was actually murdered elsewhere, but like he passed away. This is important because this whole thing about New Ho King gets very deep. Now, let's see if we can find. Here we go. Now, New Ho King comes up again when you look up Sizzlack. Shout out to this guy right here. I don't know who he is, but he's on
Or
point.
LB. It's said that Sizzlack was some sort of revolutionary, starting a movement. IDS is a ruthless gang, but some members have found themselves on the other end of the gun as well. A popular rapper and fellow member Young Dubs, who Sizzlack had a track with, was shot and killed on a Brampton driveway in May of 2017. The killing seemingly also being tied to a gang feud.
Let me
But
fast forward a bit.
miraculously, in the end, he walked free of both murders. Now, I couldn't find out if the co-accused, Justin Bellinger's charges were dropped too, but they likely were, because he was a free man a few years down the road, around October of 2016, when
This
he
is
was
about
arrested
Sizzlack.
in an undercover fentanyl drug bust. Since Sizzlack got out virtually unscathed, it's possible Justin's case had the same outcome. Regrettably, he found himself locked up again anyways. As for Sizzlack, beating the case only boosted his recognition in the city. It also seemed to boost his ego, because he gloats about the outcome of his case, with lyrics in his song, What You Know About Me, rapping about how Gucci Mane only caught one body, but he beat a case for two. SZA wasn't charged for the two murders, so technically he was innocent of the crime, but word of mouth seemed to say otherwise, and this hearsay only solidified his existing reputation in Rexdale. About a year later in 2010, he decided to create IDS. So fast forward a bit to 2012 now. It's been a few years since IDS was founded, and they've become an established gang. This is the year SZA made his introduction to YouTube, hopping on the track IDS. He and other members of the gang musically started picking up traction. 2 years later, in 2014, he would release his single What You Know About Me, and do solid numbers. He remained silent for 2 years, before he would release his song with the most notoriety, Realist in the Six, which brings us to our next event in the timeline.
Remember.
On top of the general idea of the song, which is basically claiming he's a realist in the six amongst all others, there's more to it. Now this song turned out to be a diss track, aimed at a couple rival gangs. All throughout the video, members can be seen constantly pointing 3 fingers down, a clear diss to 3L, also known as the Driftwood Crips. SZA even goes as far as making the clerk of a store do the gesture too. There are also a few more subtle shots in the video, such as SZA constantly lighting up a cigarette, referring to smoking a pack or smoking an enemy. This is obviously a shot at not only 3L, but any fallen rivals of IDS. These mentioned disses aren't the only ones that seem to exist in this video.
Remember, New Ho King.
In the beginning clips, SZA enters a Chinese restaurant named New Ho King, located in the Spadina and College area.
Remember, by the way, this video was made 3 years ago. Remember, that video was made 3 years ago. Remember when I started my stream, for anybody who on Rumble or who on Twitch. Remember I played a song called Attachment. I couldn't believe it. Let's Attachments Presser lyrics. I just want to show you there's no coincidences in this shit. This is Attachment Presser. Y'all all know I love this song. I couldn't believe it. Soon as I bought my Cuban chain, she called me back. Soon as I ice out my wrist, she got attached. And COD, you see this glizzy got attachments for all the bitch ass niggas that try to circle back. Now I don't know Slugger. Slugger got hit up in a party. He did a dance. Sizzlack dead. They don't post him on the gram. Who does Presser associate himself with? We all know Drake took him on his first big tour when he was supposedly a guy either under an investigation or caught up with some shit in Toronto. Okay? I'm spelling it out for y'all. I'm spelling it out for y'all. Y'all should, okay. Drake's man's Presser disses the guy Sizzlack in his most famous song. That guy, before he died, his last music video is in front of this one Chinese restaurant.
With Crips. SZA even goes as far as making the clerk of a store do the gesture too. There are also a few more subtle shots in the video, such as SZA constantly lighting up a cigarette, referring to smoking a pack or smoking an enemy. This is obviously a shot at not only 3L, but any fallen rivals of IDS. These mentioned disses aren't the only ones that seem to exist in this video.
How the hell does he know about New Ho King?
Beginning clips, SZA enters a Chinese restaurant named New Ho King, located in the Spadina and College area. Underneath the surface, this restaurant may have some sort of connection with a Parkdale gang.
This is also important.
Underneath the surface, this restaurant may have some sort of connection with a Parkdale gang known as HOK, or Heart of a King gang. It's possible that SZA simply being there was a jab at the gang. By SZA smoking in the restaurant, as well as in the alleyway located behind it, he illustrates that he may not only be linked to a fallen HOK member, but that he's also pretty relaxed and comfortable on their turf. New Ho King is the same scene where a few HOK members, including their leader, shot and killed 2 innocent men for apparently no reason in January 2016. It was honestly a brutal killing, and I cover this.
Now, this is why I keep telling y'all, if y'all think Kendrick is stupid and Kendrick is just saying shit, even though I know he lied when he says, I'm not calling around about to get dirt on you. Kendrick already did the research, people. Look, the place he named has no notoriety for food. What everybody in Toronto tell me, it's an after-hour spot. When everybody get drunk and all the clubs is done, you go there, you get something to eat. The food ain't the best, blah, blah, but it serves the purpose. It's the last spot open. What it's really known for? We just showed the Sizzlag thing. We just showed this.
It was Saturday night clubbing. It was nearing 3 a.m. and the clubs were closing, so most people decided to call it a night, but some wanted to continue partying. That was the case for 3 friends, 31-year-old Stuart Douglas, 29-year-old Quentin Taylor, and 26-year-old David Emines. The trio roamed the streets of Kensington Market, looking for an after-hours party that they could get into. They made their way onto Spadina Avenue, where they saw a large group of men standing outside of a Chinese restaurant named New Ho King. Where they saw a large group of men standing outside of a Chinese restaurant named New Ho King. The pack of friends approached the group, seeking the directions to a local party. One of the friends, Stuart, asked one of the men for directions. Instead of getting a reply to the question, some type of altercation ensued between the 2 groups. One of the men ended up pulling out a gun and opened fire. Stuart was shot in his head at point blank range and fell. The shooter then targeted his friends, Quinn and David, and shot them both.
The point I'm trying to tell y'all, and y'all can watch all these videos. New Ho King has been really responsible and known for violence and a lot of gang activity. Multiple people have been shot dead in front of it. It's only ever been mentioned in reports about it being the spot open late night and then niggas fucking shit up by committing violence. Just to let y'all know that.
Multiple times before they even had a chance to run. Another suspect ended up firing at the duo as well, with upwards of 15 shots being fired. Chaos ensued as people in the...
Okay. We don't need to keep doing too much. But when there's a part of the lyrics where he says, I'm not going to call around to, get some info on you. I'm telling you already that Kendrick has done his due diligence. He's already done the work. Okay? We'll get to a few other things. Now, let's get to a few other, and this is what I'm saying. Need your girl to give me knowledge like it's high school. Cause you know she feel her presence all on YouTube. All my dogs be leaving footprints like it's Blue's Clues. Blue's Clues.